With the Game Week 1 deadline this Friday, it's time to lock in some players in my final draft of Game Week 1 and of course take a look at what happened in the Community Shield and whether we are going to go actually without Mo Salah or not. So as always, if you're looking forward to today's video, make sure to drop a like and of course hit that subscribe button for daily fantasy content. Enough waffling, let's get to today's video. So first up, I want to take a look at that Community Shield game because of course it was actually a competitive game and we did learn a lot of information from both Liverpool and Crystal Palace. And also, if you haven't already, make sure to check out yesterday's video as I've done a big deep dive into all of those teams that played on the Saturday. So we looked at Man United, Man City, Arsenal, all of those important teams. So make sure you do check that one out. So of course, Liverpool ended up losing the Community Shield on penalties, but as I said, we learnt so much. And the starting 11 that we saw, I think is going to be pretty close to the Game Week 1 team that we'll see on Friday night against Bournemouth. Now, the standout things, Ekitike starting up top and obviously getting that fantastic goal. While this Isak transfer saga continues, I expect Ekitike to be the starting forward at 7.5 million, of course, getting substituted around the 70th minute mark. Mo Salah obviously playing his usual positions, but not having the best game. No good stats whatsoever. No goals, no assists, big chances not created. Florian Wirtz with an assist, and as you can see here, bagging 4 chances created, and importantly, 10 defensive contributions. We're all talking about Bruno Fernandes right now, but if Florian Wirtz can be this incredible creator in this Liverpool team and also rack up 12 defensive contributions consistently, then this guy will be an absolute essential pick. But of course, we need to monitor this one because he is still new to the league. Gakpo playing the full 90. And as I said, I see no competition on that left-hand side in these opening few game weeks. So anybody that wants to roll the dice on Gakpo, I think is a great option. Now, taking through some of the notes that I mentioned, we've covered Florian Wirtz. I think he's fantastic. But of course, we do need to remember, new to the league. And of course, with these fixtures coming up, a difficult run away against Newcastle and Arsenal. After that, I think the fixtures are quite favourable. And of course, Mo Salah, some people are maybe looking to take him out of their Game Week 1 teams. I've seen a lot of people building drafts without him. I, for one, will touch on that a bit later when I reveal my current draft. Frimpong, I'm going to be honest, I think it was a lucky goal. He was standing the ball up to the back post, but this is just going to drive the narrative of having Frimpong in your teams. Really, and I've covered it here, I think this defence is quite fragile, actually. So if we are going to invest in Liverpool, I think we've got to tread a little bit carefully because I don't think they were watertight. And yes, I think they will improve by the time we get to Game Week 1. I do expect Arne Slot to iron things out. And I do think the actual Bournemouth fixture in general is not a bad one, even though Semenyo could hurt them in transitions. So just remember, if you are going for the Liverpool defence, tread carefully because they didn't look watertight. And as we've spoken about, Ekitike, 0.55 expected goals, really, really impressive. However, while this Isak transfer is happening, if you buy Ekitike, you might only have him for 3 game weeks. And Isak, once he comes through the door, you know is going to be starting. So you might have Ekitike for these 3 games, and you might not even get him for the Burnley game, which is not an ideal position to be in. So I'm kind of putting him in amongst the 7.5 million forwards that I still am not completely sold on. So Liverpool, don't be scared to still invest in them. Don't still be scared to invest in Mo Salah, even though he had a poor game. I still think for Game Week 1, they are fantastic investments. Now for Crystal Palace, and congratulations to any Palace fans that are watching this right now. You're probably getting bored of winning things over the last few months. So the first note that I've put here, and it isn't an insult, is it's the same Palace from last season. When we look at the lineup, I could have told you what that lineup was going to be, whereas Liverpool's a little bit more unpredictable. This is going to be the same thing, and that is fantastic for FPL managers because all the players know what their jobs are. They were fantastic last season, and if injuries are not a thing, then I expect them to be good at the start of this season. It's not like they're adapting to the system. So this is really good news for those managers that just want to start the season with a tried and tested team. Crystal Palace are right up there as one of those sides. Munoz picked up 9 defensive contributions. Gay picked up 8. A lot of us are going for Richards as the cheap alternative or go into Lacroix. I'm not reading too much into this, obviously being 1 game. Last season's data is a bit more bulletproof as opposed to 1 game, but it's worth noting Munoz still incredibly offensive in this team, and if he picks up defensive contributions as well, very, very hard to ignore at that 5.5 million price bracket. Mateta took the penalty in the game. Does that mean he's on penalties? No. But I would think if Eze was the penalty taker, he would have took it in a Community Shield final. So I'm reading this as Mateta is on penalties. Others are deeming it as don't read too much into it. It might be a bit of a rotational thing between the two. We'll see, but I think it's positive that Mateta took the penalty nonetheless. Sarr at 6.5, scoring that great goal. What a pass from Adam Wharton, by the way. Sarr at 6.5 could be deemed one of those that we're overlooking. I do think that is the case. However, we know he frustrated last season, but the fixtures I think are there. Problem, Forest will be a bit of a low block at times. Villa will probably give him chances. Sunderland is great, but a bit of a low block once again. Will that give the space for Sarr in these areas? Who knows in that scenario? And finally, Eze, an option once this transfer saga ends. Now, it's not the extent of Isak where he's refusing to play. Eze still was really lively in the game, but I feel really hard to invest in him and maybe even the Crystal Palace attackers when I know there is still a chance that Arsenal, Spurs, all these big teams are still trying to find a creative player to improve their own sides going into this season. So even though I think Eze is fantastic, I almost feel like you've got to invest in him from maybe game week 4 onwards, once we know that he's officially staying at the club. Now, whenever we get closer to the game week 1 deadline, I always try to lock in players each and every season that I just think, whatever I do, these players have got to be in the team. Now, in years gone by, I'm going to be honest with you, I've done this in previous videos and I've already had 9 players locked in at this point of the season. We are 4 days out and I have got 5 players, quote unquote, locked in. And to be honest with you, if one of these changed like a Murillo, would I even be shocked? No, but what I'm doing with these locked players is every draft that I build, I'm putting them in and then I fill in the blanks around them. So Dubravka at 4 million, I mean, it's just a lock. Yes, he didn't play in Burnley's most recent preseason game, but do you need Dubravka in game week 1? No. The one concern I would say is for those managers that are looking to do an early bench boost, if you're looking to do it with Dubravka, then I would be slightly concerned that he hasn't featured for them yet. So I love him because I'm not currently on an early bench boost, but if I was, I would then be slightly concerned about him not featuring. Murillo at 5.5 million, again, I'm trying to just lock him in because I think Neco Williams is good from an attacking perspective. However, Forest haven't been scoring any goals in pre-season. If they were really open and they were actually just scoring a hatful of goals but looking really weak defensively, I'd actually flip it on its head and I would say I think the Forest defence are still worth considering, but going for the attacker is way more beneficial. Until I actually see it, I don't really want to go for Neco Williams. Hence why Forest have been pretty rubbish during pre-season, but they've been solid defensively. So that's why Murillo's in. We spoke about it all pre-season. A monster for defensive contributions and for bonus points. Now, in terms of the midfielders, Cole Palmer's been in every single draft. I'm trying to find alternatives in this Chelsea team as a Chelsea fan. And I think the only attacking alternatives to Palmer is Cucurella. I didn't think he'd get forward, but he still is appearing in the box in that most recent friendly against AC Milan. So I do think Cucurella is actually a great pick. Do not be buying Enzo. He found some good positions, but I just don't think he's worth it. The wingers are going to be completely rotated at times. I don't think that's worth the investment. And while João Pedro is fantastic, I do think it will be a common theme of Delap taking minutes away from him, depending on the game state. So Palmer, for me, is just the obvious choice in a Chelsea team that look exciting going forward and have great fixtures. So I don't want to overthink it. And I also don't want to overthink about Mo Salah. A lot of people are being very, very trigger happy with their teams off the back of the Community Shield, and they are seeing what they can build without Mo Salah. And trust me, I've done it, and you can build a fantastic team. But what happens in game week 1 at home against Bournemouth, where we're all talking about how great Florian Wirtz is, and he's creating chance upon chance upon chance for Mo Salah against a Bournemouth team that have lost their 3 best defenders. It's a risk that I don't want to take. It's not worth it. By the time I get to game week 4 and we've had the Burnley game, then I can reassess and maybe it is time to say goodbye to Mo Salah. Similar to what we've done to Erling Haaland last season. I'm not ruling out the world where we get rid of Mo Salah. But going into game week 1, with him clearly being the standout captaincy pick, do I want to take that chance? The answer is no. The answer is no. And finally, the forward. Now, I've been on the Watkins bandwagon since the days where people were telling me he wasn't a pick in pre-season. So I have been on him since day 1 and I haven't moved away from him. The more I get closer to the game week 1 deadline, the less attractive the forwards are. Anyone above Watkins, like Isak, as we've spoken about, not a pick. Gyökeres, you know my thoughts on Gyökeres. I think he's a great player. I don't prefer him over Watkins. The 7.5 million forwards, each day that passes, I am less and less appealed by them. Solanke's still injured. João Pedro, I think, could be rotated with Delap at times. I'm struggling to pick one. And then we get down to the 6.5s and the 6s, and they're 6.5 and 6 for a reason. So I think Ollie Watkins is the only forward that clearly stands out. And you'll see in my draft in a minute why he might be the only forward that actually is playing for me. So moving into my final Game Week 1 draft before my team selection, of course, at the end of this week, and starting off with the goalkeepers. And we're keeping it cheap and cheerful still. I'm putting the lock sign next to those players that I deem locked just so I make sure they are in this team. And we're going for the cheap combination of Kelleher and Dubravka. Now, I get it. Kelleher is still yellow flagged in the game, but it sounds like it was precautionary and we are anticipating him to be available for Game Week 1. Now, I'm going to be honest. I don't like the goalkeepers this season. I don't think the 5.5s are worth it at all with the defensive contributions that we've seen introduced to the defenders. Then we look at the 5 millions. Sanchez, I'm still not sold on that Chelsea defence after the Colwell ACL injury. And then we got the 4.5s, and Kelleher, I think, is probably the standout. I think Verbruggen's good as well, but I think the opening fixtures are more difficult for Brighton than that of Brentford. So I'm just hoping with the new Brentford manager, who I do not think will be an improvement on Thomas Frank, I think it'll be a considerable downgrade. Maybe just starts the season being a little bit hard to beat, fingers crossed, and we get the save points for Kelleher, because I do back him as a goalkeeper from what I've seen in his Liverpool days. But I will say, this goalkeeper position is definitely still up for grabs. It could be another 4.5, or if I somehow free up some funds in this team, it could go up to a 5 million like a Sells. But right now, I'm just happy to spend less money on the goalkeepers to invest that in the other outfield positions, which I think hold way more value. But let me know in the comment section, what is your current goalkeeper combination? Next up, moving into defenders, and this has been changed each and every day, and I'm finding this probably the hardest part of the game because I'm trying to establish how important defensive contributions are. Am I just getting completely bamboozled by it, and realistically I'm just buying a player that now and then will hit 2 defensive contribution points, his clean sheet will get wiped out, and I'm sacrificing all of my money in my defence and taking it out of the guys that score goals? That's probably the position I'm in right now, but as you can see, I've changed the structure of my team from the previous video. So we've got Virgil van Dijk as the 6 million. Now I'm going to be honest, I still don't know if the 6 millions are worth it. Liverpool have really scared me off the back of that Community Shield, and to be honest with you, when I look at the pre-season results in general, I've been told that Liverpool haven't looked watertight defensively, so I got to assess Virgil van Dijk and understand whether it is worth it, because game weeks 2 and 3 are tough, but game week 4 against Burnley isn't too bad. So I'm just putting in Virgil van Dijk right now as a placeholder. He probably is still the one I want to go for. I like Gabriel. He's back. I back Arsenal for clean sheets. But if there ever was a time for them to concede, it would be in those opening 6 game weeks with some tricky games. So that's why Van Dijk is currently in. And now I've got 2 5.5 million defenders. We spoke about Murillo. I won't touch on him right now. But I got Tarkowski, the first time that he's made it into my draft, and it is the final draft of the season, well, of the pre-season. So Tarkowski's made it in. You'll see with my team structure that I'm really reliant on these defenders to rotate really well, and I think I'm getting that with Tarkowski. The most recent Everton game, he hit those 10 defensive contributions so quickly. And I look at the teams and I want to invest in some that I know exactly what I'm getting from them. And I think Everton, I know I want to get them from them. Similar to Crystal Palace, I think they're a team that are pretty well settled. And I think Everton could rack up some clean sheets in these opening game weeks. So we got Tarkowski in right now just because of those defensive contributions. I think he is the way to go in that team. Now we've got 2 4.5s, a combination of Richards and Van de Ven. Now don't get me wrong, I would much prefer to have Munoz and Pedro Porro. I'm just trying to find a way of freeing up the funds. Now, one way that I could do is downgrading Tarkowski, improving Richards to Munoz. I think that probably does make sense. But right now, it gives me a piece of Richards in that defence, who I do think will hit the defensive contributions at times, and Van de Ven. A little bit unknown on this one because, of course, he was injured so much last season. But he's currently in the team and does have some goal threat at times. And I'll show you later how this will rotate in future game weeks. But the defence, as I said, I'm still trying to understand how important it is to invest my money into them. This could change. I'm going to be honest. This could definitely change in the lead up. I could swing it towards more offensive fullbacks and just completely forget about defensive contributions. But based on what I saw in the Community Shield, Is Danny Munoz just such an obvious pick in that Palace team? And should I just be taking the money out of Tarkowski and putting it into an upgraded Richards? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, but that's how the defence is currently landing. Time for the midfielders, and this is where the budget is being spent. This is probably a little bit of an inkling into what my forward line is going to look like, but I have to explain why it is looking like this. So, of course, Mo Salah, Cole Palmer locked into the team. I don't really need to talk too much about those because I spoke about them earlier. I need to explain why I've got both Bruno Fernandes and Florian Wirtz in my team. Now, part of it is because I can't imagine myself not having both of them in my team for game week 1. I'm going to be honest. I've tried a team with just Bruno and I've tried a team with just Florian Wirtz. And when I have Bruno, I think about what he could do Wirtz in that opening game. And then I think about what Bruno could do in the opening 3 game weeks if I go without him. So let me just kind of touch on both. Bruno Fernandes for me, I think, is what they call the unicorn player because he'll be incredible for defensive contributions. He's already hit it, I believe, twice during pre-season. He's a penalty taker. He's guaranteed minutes. And we know what he's like. Even if he plays in a double pivot, he is going to find a way to get attacking returns. We've already seen him pick up an assist in their most recent friendly. So he kind of does everything. And while people are kind of hating on the Man United opening fixtures, which I totally get, Arsenal at home in game week 1, not ideal. But then Fulham away in game week 2 is okay. Game week 3 at home against Burnley, really important because that is a differential captaincy opportunity for managers. While Liverpool play up against Arsenal, what an incredible fixture for a captaincy choice. And Bruno in that, for that third fixture, is a real obvious standout pick for managers out there. But I totally get why people are not liking him because Man United are unpredictable. If he plays in a double pivot alongside Casemiro, is he actually going to be getting in those attacking areas? Maybe he diminishes as a talisman with Cunha and Mbeumo. Who knows? But going into game week 1, I don't know if I want to find out the hard way. And the same is going to apply for Florian Wirtz. I'm looking at the 6.5 million midfielders out there. Kudus, for example. I'm not totally in love with them. Morgan Rogers is a huge doubt going into game week 1. I say a huge doubt, we haven't had the update. So with all these sort of things right now, I feel like Florian Wirtz is a player that I just can't be without. I thought he's been incredible in every game that I've seen him in a Liverpool shirt. With the money that Liverpool spent, I think his minutes are going to be very, very good. And importantly, I believe he got 9 defensive contributions or 10 in that Community Shield. So what if he actually is an ultimate creator like a Kevin De Bruyne, but also can do all of the recovery stuff that Bruno Fernandes can do? And if that's the case, once again, at 8.5 million, this is an incredible player. Now, again, the 3 fixtures are a little bit mixed. Great game week 1, 2 and 3 difficult. But then game week 4, away against Burnley, like that could be anything if Florian Wirtz has hit the ground running already. And will I want to come off Bruno Fernandes? Probably not. So I'm trying to find a way of owning both. And yes, I'm having my cake here and trying to eat it, but I feel like I can make a team with them both in. So as of right now, they're in. And now I look at this midfield, I'm going to struggle to go without. Now, the 5th midfielder, the enabler, is going to be Dewsbury Hall. Now, I am taking a huge risk on this one, but what I've seen from the Everton fans, the money that Everton has spent, he isn't coming in to be a bench player. He's coming in to be the main guy in that number 10. Now, I know there's some rumours of Jack Grealish potentially coming in, but I don't see them spending the money on Dewsbury Hall, bringing in Grealish as a loan and rotating both Dewsbury Hall and Grealish. I think they find a way to fit both in their respective teams. So I think Dewsbury Hall's game time is going to be good. Let me know in the comment section if you guys are completely the opposite and you feel like he's a massive risk. But with Ndiaye being 6.5 million in penalty taker, yes, I do think he's a better pick. But 1.5 million cheaper for the number 10 in that Everton team. And we discussed this in yesterday's video. I want a piece of that in these opening game weeks, and that is why he is in this team. Now, of course, I'll show you how the team will look in a minute fully, but that midfield would have to play pretty much each and every week. And the huge problem, of course, is Dewsbury Hall and whether he can actually play every single game for Everton. But what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, I think that will be the case. So let me know in the comment section, have I gone too big on the midfield? Personally, I love it. Last up, moving into my forwards, and this is where I'm definitely get the pelters. And it is because I've got one playing forward. Hear me out, because it has become a bit of a popular trend on Twitter now. So some people in the comments might be like, oh, you're a sheep. Every single structure has people moving towards it. I've seen people with 2 forwards. I've seen people with 3 forwards. I've seen people go with 1 forward. As of right now, I am in on the 1 forward strategy with 2 4.5s who I have no intention of playing. If you're going for this strategy and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, but Mark Gui will actually play, so I'm fine. No, you have got 2 players here that are sitting second and third on your bench. And if you get a couple of injuries, you are doomed. Like, have that mentality when you are going into it. And it's a reason why, of course, I've spent a bit more money on the defence. I've taken a Steve out and I've tried to bring in defenders that I know are watertight defensively and are teams that I can trust, so that when I have to fall back on them, I feel confident that I am leaning towards those teams. So as we've spoken about, Ollie Watkins is a lock in my team right now. I see no reason to move away. We spoke about the other forwards, and the reason why I haven't got another forward here that's playing is because if I go up to someone like Fulkrug, who actually is quite tempting of West Ham, do I think he is absolutely essential in my team and means that I have to take money out of other positions? Not really. Then we've got 6.5s. We've got Strand Larsen. I think he's good. I think he's a fine pick, but Wolves haven't really impressed me during pre-season at all. So I'm a little bit concerned that the absence of Cunha and Aït-Nouri might actually hurt them. And then, of course, we've got the 7.5s. João Pedro, the real highly selected pick, and I do get it. I think he will be good for Chelsea. I'm a Chelsea fan, and it hurts me not to have him, but I can also see Delap stealing 20 minutes off him each and every game, and that does rack up as we progress through the game weeks. Solanke currently injured, Chris Wood with Forest not scoring goals, and then Jared Bowen at 8 million. I find it very difficult to squeeze him in my team. So when I look at the rest of the forwards, I am not actually in love with them. I actually think by game week 5 or 6, the forwards will come into their own. We'll understand where Isak is. We'll understand if Ekitike is a pick, Sesko, whether he's a Man United option. We'll know what's happening with Chelsea. So for me, I'm actually building a team, really, for the opening 5 game weeks or 6. I'm not looking beyond this. So I get it. Long term, this team does not work. But I'm looking at it as a 6 game week move. And then what you can easily do with this team, remember, is use your transfers. Take 1.5 million out of Watkins, downgrade it to, let's say, Solanke if he becomes essential, or João Pedro. Then I've got 1.5 million to spend, maybe on Shrewsbury Hall, upgrade him to a 6.5, and then all of a sudden I've got the structure that basically everybody else will have. So that's the reason why I've built this team. It's for the opening 5-6 game weeks, knowing that I can wildcard, I can use my 3 or 4 transfers that I've rolled, and hopefully get a bit lucky. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'll try and show you quickly what this team will look like as we progress throughout the game weeks. So guys, just to show you how this team would rotate, because we've spoken about it, it's a little bit unconventional having 2 forward spots that are not being used, and I get it. It is a little bit not ideal in that situation. So game week 1, as we've spoken about, the team looks pretty strong. Tarkowski in for that away game against Leeds if Everton are actually decent this year. Van de Ven at home against Burnley. Midfield looks great. Watkins up top on his own, the boy, at home against Newcastle. Now, coming into game week 2, as you can see, we would play the back 4 once again. Virgil van Dijk away against Newcastle. Not ideal. And again, that could be Gabriel if I want to change it up for game week 1. But then you've got Murillo, Tarkowski, Richards, Van de Ven on the bench away against Man City. And I think the midfield doesn't look too bad. Yes, double Liverpool away against Newcastle. But what I'm seeing from Newcastle is not fantastic. Everybody's a little bit stressed about Newcastle right now. So I think game week 2 is tough with no Arsenal players. But I think it looks okay. And Shrewsbury Hall at home against Brighton, if he's a starter, it's not too bad. Coming into game week 3, again, defence looks okay. Yes, Liverpool have got Arsenal, but Murillo, good game. Tarkowski away against Wolves. Van de Ven at home against Bournemouth. Midfield looks great. Watkins up top against Palace. Bench, again, little bit ropey, but that's why the 11 is there. Then coming into game week 4, again, if we get lucky, we've got 3 transfers available to us. Defence looks great for this week. I think the midfield looks good. Yes, Bruno Fernandes away against City. Not incredible, but could do something. Murillo away against Arsenal. Watkins away against Everton. So perfectly fine once again. Game week 5, again, defence. I'm happy enough with it. Tarkowski on the bench away against Liverpool. Midfield looks strong-ish. But remember, by the time we get to game week 5 and we get lucky, we've got 4 transfers available. So if I wanted to change things up, I could do by now. If we said to ourselves, you know what, Bruno Fernandes is just not worth it, then we get rid of him. We downgrade him to a cheaper option and we upgrade one of our forwards and we improve the team. What I'm trying to say is, I think you can build a team in these opening 5 game weeks with the structure that I've shown, and that's why I'm currently leaning towards it. Yes, guys, okay, so that's going to wrap up today's video, looking at my final game week 1 draft. Now, of course, the deadline is this Friday, so working backwards, just to give you guys an update, Friday will be like final dilemmas and, of course, a deadline live stream. Thursday will be my final team selection. Wednesday, I'll probably be doing a game week 1 preview, and Tuesday, I'm just going to be deep diving on all of the hot topics out there right now. So, of course, there's a lot coming up, and if you haven't already, it'd be awesome to have you as a subscriber this year. If you don't enjoy the content after a month, no worries whatsoever, you can unsubscribe. And if you did enjoy this video, please do consider dropping a like, and of course, if you have any questions, pop them in the comment section. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Cheers.